Alright, today I'm showing you the best loadout for every single operator in Rainbow Six Siege. So, on the recruit, I like the M4. I would run the M4 with the ACOG, the flash hider, vertical grip, and laser over the LMG. I'm not a huge fan of LMGs in this game. They are very, very strong right now. I just like the M4 better. I think it's a better gun. You know, higher fire rate with only slightly less damage. It does have a smaller mag, but if you can hit your shots, I mean, it's not really going to matter all that much. And I would run the shotgun with the iron sight and the laser. Um, ability, there's a few different ways you could run. You know, you could do a hot breach with the recruit. You know, you could run the breach charge with the shotgun and still have some flashbangs or something to play off of. Um, you could also play frags and flash, which is what I would do a lot of the time, or smokes and flash is another thing I would do a lot of the time. A lot of people like the EMP and hard breach combo. I'd rather just bring a Thatcher and an ace. If you're trying to counter bandit tricking like that. I pretty much would never bring claymores, but pretty much everything else. I probably wouldn't bring breach charges either unless you're going for that hot breach. On Sledge, L8 with the... And it's not even showing. The servers are down so bad right now. Like, I don't know what's going on, but ACOG with flash hider, vertical grip, and laser. See, you got the black ice. You gotta play the black ice. You know what's up. You could run the shotgun, but I really just wouldn't. The pistol, muzzle brake with the laser. I mean, there's not much more to say. I wouldn't play Sledge all that much, but and then with the gadget, Sledge with cookable nades was one of the best attackers in the game. You could still play the nades. But there are, if you see, Sledge already has destruction with his hammer, so I would probably play flashes most of the time. But you can play nades if you feel necessary. Now on Thatcher, the L85 and the AR-33 are both great guns. You can run whichever one you want. I like the L8 with the, flash hider, laser, vertical grip, magnify. You see, this is a very common theme with a lot of my guns in the attack. Just think it's the best combo for most guns. Same thing with the AR-33. You can really run whichever one. I like the L8 personally more, but the AR-33 does have a faster fire rate with slightly less damage. But it's also got a smaller magazine and less ammo overall. Could play the shotgun if you're going for that hot breach. Thatcher's one of the best ops to play for that, but I would hot breach as least amount as possible. Ash, I don't love playing Ash. But if I was to play Ash, I do still like the G36. I think it's still a good gun. If you have problems, if you can control recoil, like if you've got recoil sort of down, the G36 is a good option. It still doesn't have, it's got recoil now. It used to have none, but it's not uncontrollable recoil. If you're new and you're like, no, what's up, you can play G36. I would play G36. If you're an experienced player who can control recoil, play the R4C. It's a better gun, more damage, higher fire rate, same amount of ammo. It does reload slightly slower, but it is just a better gun overall. It does have more recoil. So, I would also run the M45 over the 5.7. It does more damage, and I think that's, a big thing for one-taps. A lot of the time with your pistol, you're trying to one-tap someone and finish off the kill rather than actually trying to kill someone by just spamming into them. So while this one does have a higher magazine and more ammo overall, I would still play the M45 because it has that higher damage. Breach charges or claymores. I like the claymores personally. I find claymores are more useful. I find claymores are useful more of the time. Still not most of the time. I think claymores and breach charges are definitely the two worst secondary gadgets. I'd play the claymores. I find that they're useful more of the time. But when breach charges are useful, they're really useful. Thermite now, I would play the 5.56. The shotgun is probably the worst shotgun in the game, in my opinion. Low damage, yeah, you could spam it, but you know, you can also spam the 5.56 and it's just a better gun. It has a slightly worse reload speed, yeah, but it does more damage and it actually has a fire rate with more ammo. I just like, I get the shotgun as spread and everything, and all, like, every single one of the pellets is 28 damage, but I like the 5.56 over it. You can take long range fights. Again, I like the M45. Not sure why I have the... Oh, no, I didn't show my attachments for Ash. Yeah. ACOG, flash hider, laser, vertical grip. It's the way to go on the R4C. G36, you could either play flash hider or suppressor. I like both, but with the more recoil now, I'd probably go flash hider. On the old G36, I would play suppressor, but it's not that anymore. And then on the M45, muzzle brake, laser, that's the way to go. Back to Thermite, 5.56, ACOG, flash hider, vertical grip, laser is the way to go. And then on the pistol, same thing as Ash. And you could play stuns or smokes. It depends on what kind of execute you're trying to do, what kind of side execute you're trying to. If you're trying to get in there and get aggressive, I'd play flashbangs. If you're going for a quick plant or just trying to cut off angles and take your time and pick people off, I would play the smokes. Now on Twitch, I like the 417 on Twitch over the F2. You can see you can play ACOG or you can play the telescopic sights. I was just doing this because I missed the 2x. Normally I would play ACOG, but you know, 2x was kind of my baby and I miss it. ACOG is... So what are you doing? ACOG is the better choice here. And then I would play horizontal grip with the laser. On DMRs, I find the horizontal grip is more useful. You can run faster. The muzzle brake takes most of the recoil away, so you can get away with running horizontal grip on most DMRs. If you clock Glaz's gun as a DMR, I'll talk about that later, but I would not. On Monty, I like the P9. This pistol, with Monty, I find that you're spamming your pistol a lot at people, and while it does do more damage, it has a crazy kick to it, and it's really hard to just shoot people a bunch of times, right? Yeah, it 2-taps them, but at the same time, it's got a lot of recoil. The P9, what's that, like a 3 or 4 sometimes? But you can shoot it much faster, and the P9's a pretty good pistol. I like the suppressor on it with the laser, but you could run muzzle brake, of course. Now we're going to talk about Glaz here. I like the suppressor on his, which is why I also play the vertical grip. Really, on DMRs, I would count Glaz as a DMR. Really, on DMRs, if you're running suppressor, play the vertical grip. If you're running flash hider, you can play the horizontal. I find Glaz's DMR has more recoil than the most of them, so I would play... Really, I should play vertical grip and muzzle brake, but I do like the suppressor on this one. It just makes it harder to figure out where you are, and if you're shooting through the smoke, it makes it harder for them to kill you. I like the red dot on this one. I find with this gun, you just need the least obstructions as possible, and I don't like the way the red dot A looks, so you don't need the hollow, you don't need the reflex. You can't run reflex, see on this gun. Anyways, I find the red dot is just fine. I like the red dot C over the A, but it's a personal preference thing. And then PMM is the best pistol in the game, but you could run the Bearing 9. Also, I like the Bearing 9 just because it's a fully automatic gun rather than just a pistol. On the Bearing 9, hollow beef flash hider laser is the way to go. 99% of the time. You could also play Gon 6 if you want that destruction. Never play the frags on Glaz. Always play the smokes. You can shoot people through the smoke, and you can get a few kills before they realize that you are Glaz, and they just stop peeking the smoke. And then after that, you can get active. You can push up with your team with that bearing 9. It's a pretty good secondary. Now on Fuze, don't run the shield. You can run the LMG, but I wouldn't. AK-12 is the best gun in the game. 40 damage off 850 fire rate. It just shreds people. I would, this is a masterpiece right here. ACOG, flash hider, vertical grip laser, always the way to go on the AK-12. It's the best attachments on any gun. This gun is an absolute machine. And then with the PMM, the best pistol in the game. Fuze has a really good loadout. I find his ability just isn't useful most of the time. It can destroy a lot of utility, can put a lot of pressure on defenders. But if they're good at the game, they can just hear you and C4 you or impact you. And Fuze, he's fallen out of meta, I feel like. And then I have breach charges on right now because if I'm fusing from above, I like to get vert on the site afterwards with that AK-12 and just play with it, play gun up. But you also could just as well play hard breaches if they're reinforcing hashes and you're trying to drop a hash afterwards, or smokes if you want to go for plant or something after you fuse when there's no one in the site. Now on blitz, I play the P12. I play the P12 with a suppressor just like on Monty. Same attachments, laser and suppressor. And then I play the smokes also like on Monty. I feel like smokes are the best play on a shield, especially more so on Monty, because on Monty you can go for that plant a lot of the times with the cover of the smoke, and then you can just sit on top of it with your Monty, or sit somewhere else with the Monty, and they can't really do anything to you because your Monty, they can't get your unless they have a C4, they can't really do much to you unless you lower your shield. It's really easy to win those situations. I do like Blitz better than Monty though. I don't think he's better, but I like him better. On IQ, never played the AUG. It's just not a good gun. The Commando's my favorite in the game, so that's what I play with the extended barrel, laser, vertical grip, and ACOG. You could just as well play flash hider on this gun, but I like the extended barrel on it. It doesn't have a crazy amount of recoil. It's a pretty good gun. I do love the Commando. I really do think it's my favorite gun in the game. So, you got the black eyes on it. You could have just as well run G8, another fantastic gun. But I'm more of a Commando guy myself. You can see I don't even have the G8 set up, but if I did have it set up, it'd be the same. I'll show you later. I have it on Amaru. I have it set up on Amaru, and then P12. This one I am running Weather Break. I like the suppressor on the pistols on shields mostly, and then the laser. And then I would play nades or breach charge or claymores just so you have that destruction capabilities. Let's see where am I? Buck. I would always play the C8 on Buck. I've never been a huge fan of the KMRS. I like the C8. Think it's another one of the best guns in the game. With the ACOG, flash hider, and laser, it's just a machine. It really is such a good gun. I also play Gon 6 for that destruction. Buck, he has a lot of destruction with the skeleton key, but for things like Malusis and BPs and a bulletproof utility, the Gon 6 is just to play there. And then flashes, hard breach charges sometimes, but very rarely. I would usually play flashes on Buck. Don't play a whole lot of Blackbeard. Think he's pretty bad. You really could play either gun. I think they're both. I think the SR25 is probably objectively a better gun on Blackbeard. And on this one, I would probably play, ACOG with muzzle brake, horizontal grip, and laser. That'd probably be my setup on that gun. But for the AR, ACOG, flash hider, vertical grip laser, pretty bad gun. And then Deagle, I did like the muzzle brake over the suppressor. It's got quite a kick to it. And I think the muzzle brake is better for dealing with that. And then the laser, so you can ADS quicker. You could also play flashes or frags. Blackbeard doesn't have destruction at all, so I would play frags. But you could just as well play flashes if you want to get aggressive in the site. Now, on Capitał, I like the Para over the LMG. I think that it's a better gun over the LMG. They have the same fire rate. The LMG does 1 more damage. It does have a higher magazine, but it also takes forever to reload. It takes more than double the time to reload as the para. And I do really love the para. I like it with the suppressor, the ACOG, the vertical grip, and the laser. I think it's a very, very good gun. Not quite in that top tier, but it's up there. I would also play the Gon 6 for that destruction, and then probably hard breach charges most of the time, but you can play Claymores or EMPs. If you're trying to, like, pocket EMP a wall, which I would never do, I would just play Thatcher, but if you're trying to pocket EMP a wall, you could do that with Capitào. I've seen a lot of quick plants. I used to do a quick plant myself on Coastline with my friends with Capitào, and it was very strong. We would basically put an OSA on that hookah window, and then we would have Capitào run in with a Gridlock on hookah balk, smoke it off, and then if you got the plant down, you would just fire it off while they tried to push it, and then they could not defuse without dying to the fire, and it was really strong if we could get that plant down. Hibana, I like the Type 89 on her with the compensator and the laser and the vertical grip. And the ACOG, you really could mess around with the barrels. You could play flashlight, you could play compensator, but I just find that the compensator is better. You could also play. I've tried the horizontal grip. I don't hate it, but I like the vertical grip better. Just to hit them headshots, and yeah. I also like the Bearing 9, Hollow B, flashlight, or laser, just as like on Glaz. And obviously, you're playing flashes over breach charges. You don't play vert with Hibana. Sometimes you do. Actually, that's a lie. If you Hibana, you would generally play for opening hatches, so you could play breach charges, but I wouldn't. I would play flash hiders I'd play flashes about 99% of the time over the breach charges. They're just a better secondary utility. Now on a Jackal, I would always run the C70 over the PDW. C70 is a better gun than the PDW. It's got the same fire rate with less damage. It also reloads slower. It's got a bigger mag, yes, more ammo, but if you can hit your shots, the C70 is a monster. I also would play the secondary shotgun with iron sights and a laser, and on the C70, same thing as most of my guns: vertical grip, laser, flash hider, ACOG, and it just shreds. And then I would also play smokes. I wouldn't play claymores on Jackal. On Ying now, the LMG is very strong. 80 round mag, 46 damage. It does shoot a little bit slow, but if you can, hit your headshots and things, it's not going to be a problem. I like the suppressor on it. I like the laser. I like the vertical grip. You could maybe run horizontal just because LMGs don't really have very much recoil anymore. And then on the pistol, it's muzzle brake and laser all day. I would usually play smokes over hard breaches, but sometimes you would run hard breaches on Ying. Mouth is drying out. Okay. Sofia. I like the M762 on her. I like the compensator on it. You can run the flash harder. You can mess around with this again. I like the compensator on it, but it's really a personal preference thing. ACOG, vertical grip, laser, black eyes, and then future on Weedle Charm. Right there. Pistol, pretty good. Muzzle brake, laser. You could run the LMG. I wouldn't. Slower fire rate. It's got more damage, but if you can hit your shots, it's really not that crazy. It also reloads so much slower. Yeah, and really, these two are, I think claymores are useful more of the time, but they're both pretty bad. Dokkaebi, you could play the Boss G. I probably would not. I would play the DMR over the Boss G. I think it's better. If you can hit your shots, if you're like a Spoit or a Spirits type, like you 100%, you can play the Boss G and you can run the SMG-12 for those closer range interactions. But I just think that the Boss G is not as good as the DMR. I would play DMR about 99% of the time over the Boss G. I have played the Boss G before, and I was not a fan. These two are, I don't love the SMG-12, so a lot of the time I will play C75, but the SMG-12 is probably objectively the better choice. You could play Gon 6. I might check out the Gon 6. I've never tried it, but it might be viable. And then I would play flashes most of the time. You could play smokes if you want to take your time and cut off angles and pick people off. And then pocket EMPs, I guess, sometimes. But I would generally not run those. Now, on Lion, I like the AR over the 417. I think it is better. But if you were to run the 417, it would just be the same as on Twitch. On Lion AR, though, I would run the ACOG with the suppressor, vertical grip, and laser. I think the suppressor is good on here. It doesn't have a whole lot of recoil, so the suppressor is... You're able to run it without having to worry about anything. P9 over the revolver. Again, quite a bit of kick to it. I just think the P9 is a better pistol overall. And then you could play flags. He doesn't really have destruction, but you could also play stuns, flashes if you were trying to make plays. Now on Finka, you could play the spear. 100% could play the spear. I like the suppressor, ACOG, vertical grip, laser on it. This gun sounds so good with the suppressor, but I don't think it's your best option. I do think the LMG is the better option here. I do like flash hider or suppressor on here. It's a personal choice. You could also play muzzle break or compensator, but I like the other two. Vertical grip, laser, ACOG, just the way to go. Never play a sausage. It sucks. PMM, best pistol in the game with the muzzle break and laser. And you could play any one of these, honestly. These are probably the top 3 secondary gadgets. I would probably play frags most of the time because she has no destruction. But if you're trying to make plays, you can play flashbangs. And then if you're trying to take your time, pick people off, cut off angles, smokes. Now on Maverick, M4 with the same attachments as most of the guns. So that's ACOG, flash hider, vertical grip, and laser. Could play the AR-15. I wouldn't. I think this gun is a monster. I think it is a very, very strong weapon. This one is good on 2 brow. It's incredibly unfair to have it on the defense with an ACOG, and it's really nice. And then the pistol, muzzle brake, laser. That's the way to go. I like flashes, but you could also run smokes. I wouldn't run claymores, however. Nomad! The ACOG, compensator, vertical grip, laser. You can mess around with this. You can run flash hider on the ARX. I would not play the AK-74M. I don't think it's as good of a gun. But I can show you my attachments later on Deimos. And then I'd run the PRB. You don't need long range capabilities, and this pistol kind of stinks. It's got so much kick up that I would just play this one with the suppressor, and then obviously flashes over the breach charges. You don't get vert with Nomad. Where are we at? Right here. Oh, we're almost done. Gridlock. Don't play the LMG. I would not play the LMG. It does a little bit more damage with a slower fire rate. Yeah, it's got more ammo, but if you hit your shots, it's not going to be a problem. It's got a much slower reload. However, it is fast for LMGs. But I just think the F90 is better all around. I also play shorty with the iron sights and the lasers, just the way to go. And then I'd play frags or smokes. And then on Nøkk, who I wouldn't play in general, FMG9, flash chatter, ACOG, and the laser is probably the way to go. And then I would also play the Deagle over the 5.7. More damage, does have quite a bit of kick, but that's not really. And then muzzle break and laser. And then grenades over breaching charges or anything like that. Amaru. Now here's my loadout for the G8. So ACOG, flash hider, vertical grip, laser, and then also on Amaru, I would play the SMG-11 over the shotgun or the Gon 6. Amaru, a lot of the times you're not trying to destroy intel. You don't need destruction with Amaru, so the Gon 6 is pretty much useless. SMG-11 is the best secondary in the game, in my opinion. And then on here, I have flash hider, vertical grip, hollow B, laser. You could run the shotgun, but I probably wouldn't. You also could play the supernova if you're feeling spicy. If you're feeling a little extra zesty, you could play the supernova. But I like the G8. And then flashes, obviously. Callie, again, I would only play her if we're trying to get rid of bandit tricking. But on Callie, I play the pocket F2. If you will. Hollow B, I like the extended barrel on it. You could play any one of these. but you know, and with the laser, you could play the C75, but I think this is, you know, again, one of the best. It has no recoil. It's just so good. The pistol, whatever, and then both pretty bad. They need to give Callie like some stuff because these suck. But Claymores. Iana? So I look at G36 over the ARX on Iana. I like it with the flash hider or the suppressor again. Probably flash hider with the new G3060, but on the old one I would play suppressor with an ACOG with the vertical grip with the laser and obviously the black ice. You gotta run the black ice, and then Gone 6 for that destruction with the smokes. I would have used to play flashbangs, but now they're gone because she was just so good that they had to get rid of them. And then on the ace, like the same combo as with Fuze. So, you know, ACOG, flash hider, vertical grip laser makes the thing a machine. And then P9 with muzzle brake and laser. And then I, again, Claymores, but you could play breach charges if you're trying to go for vert. But generally you wouldn't do that with ace. 0. I like the SC3000 over the MP7. I think it is one of the strongest guns in the game. Too bad 0 is poopy butthole. I don't really know what barrel to play on this. I've heard suppressor's good. I've heard like these have the same recoil pattern, so suppressor's extended barrel. Muzzle brake I've tried. I don't really like a compensator, same thing. And then flash hider's just kind of the like default choice, and then vertical grip laser. But I'll have to figure out which one to use on that. And then Gone 6. And some people like the 5.7 on him. I prefer the Gone 6, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. And then hard breaches over Claymores because Claymores stink. Flores. So I like the Arrow 33 over the SR25. Same loadout as on Thatcher if you're playing Arrow 33 on Thatcher. So, you know, ACOG, flash hider, vertical grip, laser. And then this pistol sucks, but it's the pistol, and then I like suppressor and laser. And then I play flashbangs. Unless you're just trying to sit outside the entire round, you could play Claymores to watch your runouts, but I prefer flashbangs on Flores. And then on Osa, I like the 5.56. I like the 5.56 over the PDW. I think it is the better gun. I don't play Osa, so I probably don't have attachments, but I would generally go ACOG with flash hider, vertical grip, and laser. And then PMM, and I would never play Claymores, actually. I would play Frags on Osa. And then we're moving over to Sense. 417 is great. The POF9 is kind of bad, but I would probably play it with the extended barrel, ACOG, vertical grip, and laser. You could also play suppressor, again, same recoil pattern, but I just play the extended barrel for that extra damage. And then the pistol, muzzle brake, and laser. And then I would play Frags, not Claymores, Frags on Sense. But I probably did have Claymores from something else, probably from that video that just came out. Graham, Commando, again, my favorite gun in the game. On this one, I am running the flash hider over the extended barrel, though. You can do either or. You also could play suppressor because it's the same recoil pattern. You could go, and then I like laser, vertical grip, ACOG. I think that's just the way to go. And then the bailiff over the pistol is also the way to go with the laser. And then really, probably hard breaches is the best option on Grim. And then on Brava, I'm not a huge fan of the KMRS, so I would run the Para with the same attachments as Capitào. So suppressor, laser, vertical grip. ACOG is the way to go on Brava. I would also play smokes over the Claymores. And yeah. And then on RAM, I like the R4C over the LMG. I think, again, if you can hit your shots, the R4C is going to be more impactful than the LMG. It's got a faster fire rate, 2 less damage, smaller magazine, yes, but if you can hit your shots, again, it's not going to matter with a much faster reload speed. Less ammo, yes, But I think that the R4C is just the better gun here. And now I would play the shotgun over the pistol. But it's really a personal preference thing. But I find people get burnt a lot with RAM. And if you need that extra little space that the Rams did not get, the shotgun can be really nice for that. And then I like to play this flashbangs because Ram is a very aggressive operator. And I think these complement her kit perfectly. But you could also play the smokes if you're feeling spicy. Then on Deimos, the most recent attacker in the game. I like the AK-74. I like the AK-74M over the shotgun with the ACOG suppressor, vertical grip, and laser. You could mess around with the barrel, but I like the suppressor on him. This gun really doesn't have that crazy of recoil, so. But sometimes it feels like it does. So you could also play Flash Hider. None of the Vendetta. You should play laser. I don't know why I don't have it on. And then frags complement. And then frags complement Deimos' ability perfectly. You flush someone out with the frag grenade, and then you shoot him in the face. And it's fantastic. But that is going to be it for today. We'll do another video talking about the defenders and all of their loadouts. By that, we'll be at a later date.